really excited about that. I'm my first and only right now, one wife so far. So I was baptized in 1991 in the city of Toronto, which is just not too far north here, but an hour and a half from here, in the campus ministry. And so about a year into my campus years, I went into the ministry as an intern. And so I've been in the ministry for about 33 years. It's been a long time, a long haul. I retired about 2 years ago because we raised up a successor and a great couple that's been with us for almost 20 years. Apparently I reached out to them on campus, but I don't remember. Remember those days you just kind of, hey man, I want to come to church, and come to church. After a while, he goes, oh, you invited me. I was like, no. And he goes, how many Asian guys were reaching out on campus at the time? I was like, that would be me. And so, yeah, but he ended up he was a math professor at the university. So him and his wife is also a nurse that we raised them up over the X number of years. And now they've been leading the church for almost 2 years. And so we shepherd them. And so it's been a great plan. And so my wife, she actually came out of the ministry in 2003. I don't know if you remember, there's some bumpy stuff happened in 2003, so a lot of people came off staff at the time. But she landed well. She works at the university. She's the director of teaching and learning at the big center there. And so when COVID hit, everybody wanted their stuff online yesterday. And so she became super, super busy. Anybody who's in instructional design, and they realize you don't just translate it straight like that. It doesn't work that way. So a lot of the profs were just thinking, you just stand there and just talk. No, so after 3 years of that, it became apparent that there's a whole different way of learning online. And so she does that. I, for the last 7 years, been trying to hybrid in and out of the ministry. I've been working for a leadership organization in Canada, but we also do work in the States and across Canada. We're one of the larger ones. And so I'm the director of training and development there. So I do intellectual property work, but also I do a lot of conflict mediation with organizations, hospitals, armies, police forces, nurses unions. I do quite a bit of that. And so I really enjoy the work that I do. And also the cool things that I learn and grow in my education, I bring into the kingdom to help. Because you believe it or not, a lot of the stuff in the world, they think it's really unique, but it's not. For example, servant leadership, to be humble. That's not new. I heard a guy, right? I heard about a guy who did that, or being humble, or being loving, or kind, and considerate of your people. Brand new to us? No, not at all. I think disciples, when we figure out how to do that, we work really well in the world because, it's the same stuff. And so one of the ways we deal with things is in conflict. So just a little bit of a map where I am. You are here in that little star on the right. You're right. And I'm way up there. It's about 1,550 miles away. Okay, so it's not really around the corner. It's one of the coldest cities in the planet. I think some of the Russians were saying, cold. We get that. It's quite cold. Minneapolis is just south of us, about 7.5 hours. Minneapolis is still warm compared to where we're at. So when people are saying it's cold in here, actually, that's just Tuesday for us. It's normal for us. So I come from a place called Winnipeg, or the joke is Winterpeg. That's what they call it. Or the province or the state's called Manitoba. We call it Manasnoba. So it's quite a cold place. One of my things I love to do is ice fishing. So we... now that I'm saved, I'm a little more, brave. So we go into the lake and we drill a hole. I know, it seems counterintuitive. And then we fish out of there. Yep, they don't always come, but, it's a great time to have people. Especially when you're reaching out to people, you trap them in the tent with you for 6 hours. Got to talk about Jesus sometime, especially if the fish don't come. And so that's some of the things that I do up there. And so I'll talk a little more about me as we go on, but certainly you can feel free to ask questions during our little fellowship break times. But so this is our schedule. So theoretically, starting at 10 o'clock, we'll go at 11, and we're going to go through a session called Everyday Peacemakers. It's because when you don't know the position you're coming from, and you try to apply a tool, or some of the tools can actually do more harm than good. Now, cool thing is, these slides are going to be shared with you. Now, I don't mind if you take pictures of... Most times you get a bad resolution in the back of someone's head. I mean, that's what you do. And me, why would you want a picture of me? So I shared these, Alton has these things already, so they'll share them. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't sell it, right? If you want to do that, okay? No, I'm just kidding. No one's going to do that. Also, the second session is something that I've taught for a number of years now. It's called the GO conversation. You might be like, what is that about? Some of you have watched some of my stuff on the Discipleship Summit. It's evolved since then. Hopefully we're all evolving and we're not doing the same things the same way, hopefully a little bit better. So I have 2 parts for that. And then last but not least, it's really cool to read about, if you've had the blessing of teaching a teenager how to drive, right? It's like, hey mom, I've read the manual, can I take the car? Nah, take your dad's car, not mine, right? Because we know that reading about driving and actual driving is very, very different. And so we're going to try some conversations. I know that you've been doing some great work with Shalom and Peacemaking. Listen, they're all cool ideas until we try. Yeah. Do you ever watch a football game? Run faster. Why didn't you catch the ball? Well, you get on the field, you try running, you're like, wow, this is really hard. Right? Baseball series. I could hit that ball at 98 miles an hour. It's not that easy to hit that ball. You know, where's the ball? It went by, and the catcher's like, it just went right by you. Because it's so easy to criticize people running when I'm sitting there with popcorn watching them. It's different. So when you get into these courageous conversations, let me tell you, it becomes problematic when you've not practiced. So I have, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, I have education flying in every direction. Universities, all that. So I'm supposed to be an expert in conflict, difficult conversations. Let me tell you what happens at home. Okay? Because my sister knows me, who's also a disciple, and we're all disciples, we're supposed to get along, right? Let me tell you, I wouldn't be so busy across the ICOC if that were true. Let me tell you, there's a rule that it's not in the book, but it's a rule that you may want to remember. It's called the ABD rule. None of you have ever heard of that. Don't even write ABD, because it won't make sense. When I'm talking to my wife, she's highly educated, so am I. We get our emotions involved. We don't listen to each other. I take all my degrees, all my education, and I light it in a dumpster fire. It just doesn't matter. It's because in the end, what I know and what I do, unfortunately, are 2 different things. Look at James. Do not merely listen to the word. Do what it says. Well, sometimes I pick the other option. I don't do what it says. So ABD means anybody but David. Anybody but David. Okay? So if it's, if your name happens to be Nick, it's ABN. Anybody but Nick. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You'll have your kids say, Mom, don't you have a degree in this? Because, you go to your room. It's because we don't really get that oftentimes even a prophet like Jesus had no honor in his hometown. Because when people know you, they don't care what you know. Right. So don't try and do this and be so hard on yourself. It's because it doesn't work with people that they know you. They don't forgive you. There's all this stuff. And so even when parents often will say, and as we parent here, we'll tell, hey, you should get along is because you're brother and sister. So what they're saying is that just because you share the same womb for 9 months, you should automatically know how to get along. That's not true. Because what if somebody said this? Well, you were born, you should be able to know how to make an apple pie. That's not true. Right? That's not true. Well, you are from wherever, right? You're from this place, you should know how to make fried chicken. No, it's not true. You're Canadian, you should know how to do this. No, the bigger thing is you need to learn how to do it. Do you have brothers and sisters in church that automatically when you get baptized, oh my goodness, you just change so much, you get along with everybody? That's not true. Because the Bible would be empty if we didn't talk about conflict. Yeah. Think about it. Can you imagine being in the perfect place where you didn't even need clothes? That's Adam and Eve, right? Nothing to fight about. What did they fight about? Bills, the mortgage, the weather? There's nothing. Yet somehow they found a way to have conflict with God and saying, God, I don't like all the options you've given me because you've left me that one tree. And in the perfect place, they decided to have a conflict with God, a conflict with each other, and then you can blame them for everything else that's happened so far. Everything in a perfect place. So we in the world have no chance because it's not perfect here. Look around, turn on the news, you know that. And so the issue comes down to, we got to think through why conflict is such a big deal in the Bible. Because when you're studying the Bible with people, are you not actually trying to help them deal with their conflict with God? Isn't that what it is? Because after they get baptized, it's all done, right? No. They got conflict with people they got to forgive, conflict with people as they get to church. Remember when you first showed up to church, everybody showed you a chair, gave you a songbooks, everything. After a couple years, hey, where's my coffee? Like, what's going on? Now it's your turn, right? And you're like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Why am I not important anymore? All of a sudden, there's a conflict with other people, conflict within the church systems in itself. I mean, the SCUAD exists for thinking about inclusion and diversity and all that, diversity of voices and power. Well, it has to do with managing conflict. But also, here's the thing, even if you were stuck in a room all by yourself, you would still have conflict with yourself. Do you ever disagree with yourself? Right? Mental health has its base in that. So bless you. One of the other things that I've done over the years is I'm a mental health counselor. My master's degree is in mental health. And so I realized a lot of that, depression, anger, it's a conflict within yourself, your attachment styles, all the things that you know about. And so when we think about conflict, if you remove conflict from the Bible, you'd have to remove from Genesis 3 all the way on to Revelation 21, where it deals with the conflict finally. Except there's a lot of stuff in between. When you look at the Bible, most of the New Testament has to do with somebody not getting along with somebody. Somebody not getting along with somebody. So the issue comes down to, if we don't manage conflict well, we won't manage anything in the Bible very well as well. So I'm going to introduce some ideas to this. So as we think about this, I'd love for you to consider this. What have you learned about conflict over the last many years? Even Nathan sent me this beautiful list of what you've been doing with shalom. That's the opposite of conflict in a bad way. Also, how does God view conflict? So I'd love to maybe get some answers. I've got a little board back here, and so this is the part where if you're online, you won't be able to participate in this, but I'd love for you online to write a few things down. So what have you learned about conflict? How does God view conflict? Yes, sir.
What I learned about conflict is that it's inevitable.
Inevitable, yep. It happens. Do you ever start dating? We're not going to be like all those other loser marrieds. We're going to be different. And, on the honeymoon, you're like, hey, what's going on? So, yes, it happens. Yes. Somebody had to.
I just learned this morning that only children have a harder time with conflict because they don't practice growing up how to get along with people.
That's right. So they don't get a lot of training to do that. They don't. Think about how your conflict was resolved in school. Usually somebody resolved it for you, or more like, hey, you two get along. Say sorry. Like, wow. And they go into the parking lot, they go into the playground. It doesn't work, right? Law of the jungle. Yes, excellent. What else? What have you learned about conflict? Yes?
Conflict is good because both parties are aware something's wrong.
Yes, it's not always bad, right? So there's an openness. As I do marriage counseling, people they go, oh, we never have conflict. We were married 16 years. I go, were you in a submarine? And they were, would you not interact with each other? Because there's just no way, right? Someone's lying, or they're deceived, or they don't know what conflict is. Right? Can you imagine growing in a family with everything's conflict, and you don't even know it was conflict? It's just normal. You're like, okay. Yelling. You see, that's not yelling. You see what my dad used to do. And so you have a weird level set of what that is. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Just scream it out. Yeah.
Try to run away from the conflict.
Yeah.
You live on an island.
Yeah. So people avoid it. Yeah. Well, some people do. People have left church, left marriages because they don't want to deal with it. Right? They don't want to do that. Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Some of us, most people don't like conflict, but actually some people enjoy conflict.
Yeah, that's right. So some people see it as a positive thing, some people see it as a negative thing. Yeah, absolutely. What else?
Resolution is possible.
It is, for most times, yes. Yeah, you say it is not the same as doing it. Yeah, being righteous, holy. That's what we got. Jesus fixes all that.
Conflict comes from different perspectives. You see life differently, different worldviews.
Yes, and one of the big things is diversity causes some conflict too, right? Do you put pineapples on your pizza? Right? Some do, and the rest are going to hell, right? Yeah. So it's, I know, that's just the way we see it, right? Do you put ketchup on your eggs? That divides the world already, right? Forget about politics, Who here puts ketchup on their eggs? Yeah, some do, the holy. I'm just kidding, right? Then you go iPhone, Android. There's so many ways to do this, okay? So perspective. Other thoughts have you learned about conflict? How does God feel about conflict? It's necessary. Yeah. It's necessary. Anybody know what Israel means? I know. What's Israel mean? The people of Israel. Look it up. Use your chat GPT. Look it up. You'd be surprised what it means. I mean, Chinese doesn't mean that, or African doesn't mean that. What is Israel? Look it up. What does Israel mean? The people what? The people who what? They fight, yeah. The people who struggle. Isn't that weird? Can you imagine God naming you? Okay, you're the people that are going to struggle. You're like, what? No, I don't want that, right? You know what I mean? You imagine being named and you will be poor. You're like, what? Who wants that name? Nobody wants that name. That's a terrible name. Remember Paul's pre-baptism curse? Yeah, I must show him how much he must suffer for my name. You're like, whoa, that's not cool. Yes? That's right. Wrestle with God. Does that sound like fun, though, when you wrestle with God? No, because it usually involves pain. Remember Jacob? How'd that go?
Yeah, no.
Broke a hip over that, right? When you wrestle with God, why do you wrestle? Something you don't want to do.
Yeah,
Listen, denying yourself has everything to do with you don't want to do it.
correct.
Right? Who denies himself eating a big bowl of ice cream? Unless you're lactose intolerant, then you don't want that because you have an interesting rest of the day, right? So you think about, how does God view conflict? He names his people that wrestle with God. You're like, what? I didn't know that, because I wouldn't have signed up for that, right? When you, in prayer, oftentimes is wrestling, everything is conflict. So it's not about the conflict. It's about how you respond to conflict. But one of the biggest things we have to do in conflict is we got to be clear on what it is. Some people find any tension, no, it's bad conflict, because they see conflict is equivalent to something bad and wicked and evil, depending on your history. Because if every single time you've had conflict in your family, it results in death, divorce, something horrible, you're not going to want to go near it. But if you only had good conflict where honestly, there was some heat, there was some spice, a lot of hot sauce on that, but guess what? It resolves itself and you've come closer, then you want that. And then most likely we have a little bit of combination of both. Right? I oftentimes do work with child and family services where kids have been hurt and abused or neglected by families, and they've already started off that way already. So do you think that might affect their marriages, affect their lives? The reason I got into therapy was when we started taking care of our church in Winnipeg, a lot of the sisters and brothers have been impacted by family violence, a lot of it, more than I've ever seen. So I started reading books on how to deal with the internal sides of human beings. You know, over time, I started reading more and more books. I said, wait, hold on a minute. I'm reading a lot of books and getting nothing for this. I just went back to school for it instead. And it helped a lot of the brothers and sisters to be able to navigate some of the conflicts internally with other people, but even the whole system in itself. And also, a lot of times, that work that we did would help them also in church. You remember when somebody says, hey, I want this workplace or this church to be just like family? Right? They're like, oh no, what? No, I came to this church to escape my family. And you're like, well, I don't want to see that family is a scary word. Depends what you mean, right? Yeah, I want to be like God's family. Have you seen God's family in the Bible? Incest and rape and murder and King David. Oh wait, he's got a lot of. You start to see, like, what do you mean by that? So no, like, what do you mean by that? That's not cool at all. God had a way, and we decided to do things different. You know, there's an interesting video that I often show. A great comedian, he went to Sesame Street, and he was talking to the two-headed monster. And there's an important principle from Robin Williams, the late, great Robin Williams, and the two-headed monster. The two-headed monster is a puppet, just for you'll know, okay? I'd love for you to consider what he's saying here. That's silly, right? But if you listen, there's some insights in there. Any thoughts when you watch this? What is something that you picked up from the two-headed monster and Robin Williams about conflict? What are some of your thoughts? Yes?
It's not necessarily who you think it is.
It's not necessarily what you think it is. Yeah, some people say, we're not having a conflict. And you're like, yeah, you are, right? If you might find, if anybody gets heated at all and disagrees, you're having a conflict. You're like, what? No, it's okay to disagree. I don't want ketchup in my eggs. Why are you being so difficult? You're like, what? And some people won't see that at all, right? So you think about some of you who are in the military. You come back here to Walmart, it's not the same thing as Afghanistan. So, you know, if you see something in Walmart, you're like, that's not a conflict. But it is for most people who have never been there, right? For sure, right? Any other thoughts on what you've seen from what you saw in the video? Yeah.
It was funny that Robert Williams kind of like forced the conflict on something that didn't necessarily have to have conflict.
That's right. He was like, come on, have a conflict. You know, sometimes that role playing is very hard. You're right. It'll happen naturally, believe me. It will. It will. Anybody else? Yes?
Maybe there's different levels of conflict.
Different levels, yeah. It's not always World War III, right? It's even little ones, for sure. Depends how you define it. What else? Yeah, you don't recognize it. Somebody walking out, you know, you two are not getting along. Absolutely we're getting along because we have that archetype of, I'm a Christian. Christians don't have enemies. Well, here's the interesting thing. If Christians don't have enemies, how do you love them? Right? Well, how do you love enemies you don't have? Jesus commanded love your enemy. Why I don't have enemies? You mean the person that hates you and wants to destroy you? Well, they're just different kinds of friends that I don't want to be around. Like, no, they're enemies, right? There you go. Yeah.
So just like Robin and the monster started a conversation, he never imagined that would happen in conflict.
Yeah, you don't see it. It's unexpected, for sure. You notice how did they start talking after the conflict? That's what it sounds like. It makes no sense, right? It makes no sense sometimes. Do you ever talk in conflict? You're like, what am I saying? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I remember one sister saying, because you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Like, I was like, I was like, what did you just say? Like, it didn't make sense. Did you see? And I go, I know, but you don't have to make sense in conflict. It's just because your amygdala is hijacked. You fight, flight, freeze mode. Yeah. Totally. It's your perspective. Yes. Some people are afraid that any conflict will lead to the end of the relationship. Right? Most people are fueled by what they want and what they fear. Satan knows that. Salespeople know that. Hey, why don't you have the iPhone 17? What are you, a loser? What's wrong with you, right? I suppose, I need to get this. Sales, they know that. They know what to do. Do you remember remember we put people on the moon. We're hoping to put people on Mars. We're very advanced as a society. I can right now call some of the brothers and sisters I know in Japan. They'll probably be irritated since I'm waking them up, right? Think of all the technology. What was the number one coveted item during COVID? Toilet paper. That makes sense to you? It wasn't even a problem like that. Unless you got a medical problem, you don't need that much toilet paper. You don't. Costco, I don't know about down here, in the history of Costco, they never had security guards inside Costco. They didn't guard the watches, they didn't guard I don't know if you know how much beef costs these days, right? They had a guard guarding the toilet paper. Why? It's because people were losing their minds over toilet paper. There are people, I believe, that are still using toilet paper from back then. You think you bought one or two too many? Because we lose our minds. We're not thinking straight. Absolutely. So when we're not clear on what conflict really is, then it becomes problematic. We don't even know we're in it. If we avoid it like the plague, then there's beautiful things about conflict that we never ever get into. I think about when God met Jacob, he said, listen, the way you did conflict was really bad. You lied to your brother. I'm going to do it right with you. They wrestled all night. Can you imagine being a mom or a dad walking in? You two stop fighting right now. God would be like, you sit down. You don't know what you're talking about. Jacob had a good conflict with God, and it blessed him. He had a bad conflict with Esau, and it didn't bless him. So when we learn about conflict, it's natural, like you said. It can be constructive or destructive. What's the key? How we respond. That's the key. Don't care what it is even. It's how we respond. If we don't respond properly, it goes bad. Let me tell you, when someone hangs you on a cross, I would think there's some strong conflict happening. I know a guy that was hung on a cross and he didn't lose his mind because he responded to the conflict well. Even when Satan was attacking him in the wilderness, he still responded well. I don't know anybody that's ever been through a situation more intense than the cross or the powers of hell coming after you specifically. That's quite the thing. You might have a bad day. It's nothing compared to that. Jesus always responded well to conflict. And he was the example. Remember the first scripture? Blessed are the peacemakers. A lot of us love titles. You know, you are a daughter of God. You are saved, right? You are the redeemed. You're the people of the light. How many people will walk around saying, you know what? I'm so proud to be a peacemaker. Very few people will identify as a peacemaker. Very few. But meanwhile, it's one of the titles of Jesus. You're like, Blessed are the peacemakers. Cursed are the non-peacemakers. You think about the reverse of that. We're super excited about being holy, righteous, pure. We even get excited about being persecuted. I don't know a lot of people like that, but you know what? They rejoiced. But very few. Remember, even in the last moments when Jesus was being arrested, who was not a peacemaker in the garden? Remember Mr. Sword Fisherman guy? What was that all about? He was not going for the guy's ear. He was going for his neck to cut his head off. And Jesus in that moment said, where did you learn that from?
Yeah.
You didn't get it from me, right? And he challenged him. And you got to think, when we don't respond well, that's the issue with conflict. In our churches, when we don't respond well, then what it is that we're setting it up for future conflicts. When we think about all the work that the SCUAD has to do, oftentimes the work can be right for any ministry, but the way we approach it, especially when people push back, guess what happens? It can change the very nature of what we're doing. So it's not just what we're doing, it's how we do it. And the Bible says in all that we do, we glorify God. Yeah, but David, not in conflict though. All bets are off in conflict. No, not at all. And once again, I wish I could say I do all this at home. I don't. Okay, once again, anybody but David, okay, anybody but Erica, because this doesn't work, you know? And oftentimes you need somebody else to say, hey, David, you're a little bit crazy right now. Look what's happening with you, right? No, I'm not, right? And I deny that I'm acting like that, but meanwhile, I am. So I want you to consider this, all right? This structure in Exodus 18, a lot of times I've heard this taught as this is when they separate Bible talk leaders. It's like, no, that's not what happened there. This is Exodus 18. Anybody know what happened in Exodus 20? What cool thing happened in Exodus 20? There's a whole movie made about it. 10 Commandments, that's right. Charlton Heston shows up, and he gets the 10 Commandments. This is 2 chapters before Exodus 20. God rescues the people, and now he needs to give them, hey, I rescued you. It's all good now, but I need you to follow some rules. The 10 Commandments and thousands of commandments come after it. But listen to what happens in Exodus 18. These people were not just Jews that left the land. It was anybody who didn't want to be under the Egyptians. There was a whole lot of people. There were all kinds of people from other religions, other races that just followed the Jews along. And also the Jews had been away from their truth and center for a long, long time. So their theology was a little bit off. The Egyptians had a lot of gods. And over time, guess what happened? The Jews started, well, maybe there's Jehovah and maybe Ra, Set. Like there's all these other gods. They had a lot of corrupt theology. Not like America. I mean, we only have one God, right? No, we don't. And so these people would have a lot of disputes, not just theologically, but let me tell you, the minute you walked out of Egypt, it wouldn't take very long for you to figure out there's no bathroom. Imagine all those people just going wherever they wanted. What a mess. What about food? You can't just stop up at a 7-Eleven or a Target to get stuff. What about organizing people? Some people would have been pregnant. So there'd be a mess. How do you organize people? Who would get, they looted Egypt. They had a lot of gold. But I'll tell you, when you're hungry, I'd rather have a pizza than a gold brick. They had a lot of problems logistically. Interestingly enough, Moses was trained in how to lead a nation by his enemy. In the end, he would lead the people out. He was a logistical genius. He had to learn that. He learned the ways of war. He learned the ways of organization, all that stuff. But the people were slaves. And when you were slaves, you had your days dictated for you. You had structure set up. The minute they left Egypt, no more structure. It was a free-for-all. It wasn't like they had a mic or the internet or making announcements, squads having a meeting today. It was by word of mouth, crying babies, all kinds of stuff going on. You can understand why there was so much conflict going on. So what happens is Jethro shows up and asks, hey, Moses, dude, why are you so tired? He goes, well, gee, because I'm full-time here, right? And God wasn't saying much through the cloud. He was only talking to Moses. And so Moses answered, does the people come to me to seek God's will whenever they have a what? You see? Very little to do with setting up Bible talks and leadership structures or churches. Nothing to do with that. There was no structure at the time. The structure was being threatened is because they were all fighting each other. The enemy was gone. Their armies were drowned, floating away, right? The greatest enemy was each other now. Satan said, oh, you Jews, you left. I'm not going to let you go so easily. You know what I'm going to do? Fine. Egyptians didn't work. They got smushed with the 10 plagues. Yeah, the whole drowning thing. You know what? I'm going to destroy you on the inside, from the inside. And what happens is, it's brought to me and I decide between the parties in the form of God's decrees and instructions. What was he doing all day long? He was conflict resolving. Anybody see that before? Yeah. Let me tell you, if they didn't figure it out here, there would be no Exodus 20. They would have fractured. Remember what some of them threatened to do? I want to go back. You're like, go back? Are you nuts? What are you thinking, right? You know what? Sometimes, though, somebody said this. The only time you complain about the stink in the ark, when you forget about the waves outside.
Yeah.
You ever think about that? The only time, it smells in here. Why don't you hang outside for a little bit? You're like, okay, no. I think, thank you, Mr. Horse, for your offering. Like, it's just one of those things, right? In the church, sometimes it starts stinking because we forgot what's outside. But even within the church itself, the community, one of the biggest things they had to deal with it in Exodus 18 was how to conflict resolve. So this is Moses' way of doing this. He's like capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter because they will share it with you. What's the expectation? That everybody learns a basic level of understanding how to deal with conflict. Yeah. Is that something that we learn when we studied the Bible? Not really. Not at all. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just something we're emerging to do. In our movement, for the longest time, we were baptizing, adding, and then we're like, oh no, we forgot about the poor. Then what arose? Hope. It came out of that. We're like, how do you miss something like that? We do. Over time, we start to miss that a lot of our churches are hurting is because we're not dealing with conflict very well. We're not. Fracturing left and right. I mean, the United States, not dealing with conflict very well. It's how you respond. Canada's not doing that much better. You're overshadowing us in conflict right now. You know, you're taking all the spotlight, but I'll tell you, we're not doing that great either. There's so many things happening that it's not right. And so we think about this. Exodus 18 was the first structure that was set up to manage conflict, even before the 10 Commandments. You think, what? Before the 10 Commandments? No. That is the OG tablets that will start us off with everything. No, it didn't. They would have never made to Exodus 20 if Exodus 18 didn't happen. I just know, because 18 is before 20. Just look at it yourself. You'll see it. That's the history of Israel. And here's another side point. Who brought it to Moses? Jethro. Who's Jethro? I know it was his father-in-law. What was his title? He was a Priestian Midianite. Anybody know what the Midianites did? Were they friends of Israel? No. They're not. They're horrible people. They used to hang around the backs of Israel, killing all the old. They were sacrificing children. They were just awesome, straight up, ridiculous pagan culture. That's what they were. He was a priest. Do you think it was an honorific title? He was a priest. He was a head of. Let me ask you something. If this is the first structure that God sets up for conflict resolution, you have that guy come up with a good idea? That's weird, isn't it? Think about it. Did he follow Moses and them afterwards? He went back to Midian. What do you think he did? Quit his job? He came back and he still had the t-shirt. I'm the priest of Midian. Interesting. So it's possible to have God's wisdom come from somebody who's wicked. It's just one of those things. What does it say in Matthew 23? Do as the Pharisees say. Don't do as they do. Even Satan can bring truth if it's aligned with God's word. So when we start thinking about people, well, David, this is all worldly stuff. Let me tell you, the world steals most of the stuff from the Bible. And then they package it and call it humility or servant leadership and all these different things. One of the big shows these days is Undercover Boss, Undercover CEO. What's that show about? Yeah, they're coming from on high, going down and disguising themselves to walk among the people to see what they're about. Was there a guy that did that already? Wait a minute. Undercover Jesus, I mean, that's what happened. They call it a show. They're making millions of dollars on it. You notice that they rip it all off. Let me tell you, in the thousands of workshops I've done, I can quote from the Bhagavad Gita, I can quote from the Upanishads, I can quote from the Buddhist mantras, I can quote from everything. I just can't quote from the Bible. So I always slip it in. Well, there's an ancient Hebrew wisdom. They're like, oh, wow, where's that from? Wait a minute, is that from the Bible? And I was like, yeah. Like, hey, how come you thought it was awesome until you heard it was from the Bible, right? So you got to think, the Bible's got some ideas. So if you think the Bible's got nothing to say about conflict, just open it up and see it with a different lens.
Amen, bro.
So as we move forward, listen to King David. He was a good king for the most part. But listen to the two things they talk about and describe this man after God's own heart. He was arguably the greatest shepherd that Israel's ever known. He was shepherd and king. But in Psalm, remember, once again, I'm giving these slides out. Okay. Also, this is the NIV version. I didn't, it's in print. Okay, just to let you know. And David shepherded them with integrity. You pull the original words, integrity and completeness of heart. That's what he did. He had a good heart, good character, but also with skillful hands he led them. You know what that means? Understanding and intelligence. Can you imagine someone is so good-hearted, they only want what's best for you, and you want them to do a knee surgery, but they're actually a librarian? What would you think about that? Right? You got a spare knee, right? Like, no. You're like, hold on. I love you. I think you got great character, but you don't know what you're doing. Bro, why you got to be like that? Have I not been there for you? And I brought you to Bible talk. Okay, just because you helped me become a Christian doesn't mean you can cut my knee open. It's a completely different skill, don't you think?
Yeah.
So why is it okay that someone will walk in with great heart, great character to deal with a conflict and just believe there's no science behind it? There's just nothing behind it at all. We wouldn't do that for almost anything.
Right.
A good-hearted brother or a good-hearted sister that knows a little bit about plumbing because they watch a couple YouTube videos, they may be able to pull off changing a faucet. But when it's a big thing, I'm not, hey, no, I want to know your track record. So at the end of the day, not everybody, without learning some things, are going to be able to deal with conflict, especially the more tricky ones. Everyday conflict is fine. But there's more tricky conflicts, especially, I generally have a rule. It's not in the Bible, but it's generally a rule. If you're having the same 3 ineffective conversations, you're probably having the wrong conversation. Either your emotions are get caught up in it, or something's going wrong where you need to get some help. But from who? I'm not going to go get someone to operate on my knee because the librarian's no good, then ask a baker to do it. Because they're equally useless. I mean, sure, they can give me great apple pie while they're messing my knee up, but the thing about it is, I need someone who knows the skills. But here's the problem. What if you know somebody with great skills, but they're wicked? I don't trust them. So a great mechanic that's going to overcharge me and find 80 things wrong with my car. Meanwhile, I came in for a tire change. Like, why are you messing with my transmission? So both these things are in play. Did you have a question?
Can you repeat that point?
Which point? About
Arguing about the same thing three times?
if I probably having the same conversation 3 times is not being effective, I'm probably talking about the wrong thing. I'm probably missing something in the conversation. Does that make sense? You'll see that as we illustrate this later on. I'm trying to move through the points. But when you start listening to this, you're talking to somebody, and it's just not effective. It's not effective. What's happening? Maybe you're missing the point of something. And that's conflict resolution, to find out what it is that someone really wants. What's happening with them? Do you ever have somebody that just won't lie to you? They won't lie. They won't steal from you, but you just don't trust them? It's because they don't get you. If they don't get you, they don't listen, you're going to be equally mad. And so when I start thinking about what this looks like, what do you want to learn today in our session? What's important for you as I start talking about conflict? Because when I say in my workshops, after 6 hours, when everything's important, nothing's important. It's too many things. It drives me insane when people are paying thousands of dollars for workshops, and I ask, hey, have you done our workshops before? Yeah. Hey, what'd you learn? I learned about communication. You mean you learned about communication in the communication course? Anything more than that? Can you imagine coming home from church and somebody say, what'd you learn at church? Oh, I learned about Jesus. and love and loving more. Yeah, and loving Jesus. Yeah. You're like, what? Did you even go? Anybody can say that. But what about some very specific things? So when we start thinking about what do you want to be able to do after our time together, stay focused on that. Because that will inform your questions. It'll inform how you approach each other. It'll inform how you approach me. When everything's important, nothing's important. We want to be able to focus. So you've done some work on shalom. You've done some work on peacemaking. You have, because I saw the theological progression of this. So I'd love to ask you to get a moment to find a partner at this time. I want you to find a partner of perhaps, as much as you can, someone that you don't know in your own home. Okay, like, not your wife or someone that your roommate, whatever, someone you don't know. I'd love for you to find a partner and stand beside them. I have an exercise I want you to do for me. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, and also if you've got any arm problems, please don't do this exercise. It does involve your arms, okay? So if you've got a broken wrist, that's not the day to do that. If you're sick, it involves touching each other's arms, okay? So find somebody. So just stand beside each other. Give a little space. Give a little bit of space. Give yourself a little bit of space, okay?
6 feet.
Okay. Yeah, 6 feet. Okay, you want a little room so you're not banging the chairs, okay? Here's some of the rules, okay? Gotta listen to these rules. If you don't listen to these rules, you're not gonna do it right. The whole entire exercise, you must keep your eyes closed. All right? You must keep your eyes closed. In this exercise, it involves you getting points. So what's your name again?
Cheryl.
Cheryl, can I borrow you for a second?
Yeah.
So I've got Cheryl. I can stand here. She's got my arm, okay? And basically, if I do this, no, you let me go for a second. Do this, I get a point. If you do this, she gets a point. You're trying to get as many points as possible, okay? Well, it's called connecting hands, okay? That's all it is. So what you're gonna do, eyes closed. Okay, eyes closed. Also, you're just trying to, this is a point, all right? Does it make sense? I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to get as many points as possible, right? So, Cheryl, you can do that. So, remember, eyes closed. Now, I know some of you are already thinking, bro, this is gonna cause injury. I go, well, you signed up for it. Like, it's just the way it is, okay? I signed a waiver before. Yes? You know what? You can move your feet, I guess. All I'm saying is this is the way to get a point. You bring the person close to you. Okay, like their hand close to you, not their whole body. Okay? So, you ready? Keep your eyes closed though. Your eyes gotta be closed. Okay, so ready? Go. Keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed. You got 5 seconds. Okay, stop. Great, stop. So, first of all, let's cleanse. High five your partner so we're not angry with each other. Okay. So, I want to know, just stay where you are. You can sit back down, actually. You can sit back down. People are still loving each other, okay? When I do this with non-Christians, I've had some incidences before. So question, how many people got more than 10 points? Stand up, you've got more than 10 points, okay? 20 points. 30 points. 40 points. 50 points. Less than 50 or more than 50? More than 50? 60? 70? 60? 60? Okay, great. Just stay. No, you're a star now. Here's the thing.
They wasn't in conflict. They took turns.
Here's a question. What is this called? Oh, you said tug of war. I never said those words.
Oh, you could be on the same thing.
I never said tug of war. I never said arm wrestling. Never, not even once. I never said you're in conflict. I never said that. I said you're connecting hands and you try to get as many points as possible. If you pull that way, so can you come up here and show what you did? You don't have to close your eyes, everybody sees me. Hand clap for them. Thank you so much. So here's my question. Why did I have you close your eyes? So you wouldn't see, get any ideas how to do it right. What if you're only the two of you fighting and you don't get anybody involved? Well, this is the right way. Okay? Especially when you're in a situation, I was going to say, who in your situation will you realize, oh no, this person's considerably stronger than me? Right? Yeah. You're like, oh shoot, that's not going to be fun. But what about the stronger person? Because sometimes I had like a 6-foot guy and this 4.5-foot woman, and she's like, oh, give me a break. Like, you know what I mean? It is like, what do you think the guy did? You think he crushed her? No. They'll look at you, what's wrong with you, bro? Why would you do that? Yeah. So he held back. How do you think it made her feel? Think she was fired up about it? She goes, hey, wait, and then they started blaming me. Why would you pair us? I didn't pair you. You paired yourselves. Right? Yeah. What did you learn? What's your mindset going in naturally? To win. Yeah. Sorry, all of you. They got 60 plus. You're like, get what? Did you cheat? Like, no. They listened with a different lens. When you go into conflict, I'm sure all of us go in like, you know, bro, I just want what's best for you. No, I can say it that way because I want to be Christian about it. But deep down inside, I'm like, you know, I may not completely win, but I'm here to prove my point. Yeah. Can you imagine this was all wiped out across the world? We would have no reason that we would work in unity together. Do you ever see Jesus and the Spirit and God fighting? Hey, why do I got to go down? With these losers, right? The Holy Spirit's like, oh yeah? At least you get to go home. I'm down here for a long, long time. And God's like, I don't even have a body. What are you all talking about? Can you imagine? They work together. Jesus will always have a memory of him being crucified. You think he's going to suddenly forget that? God doesn't have that memory. He witnessed it. It's a whole different thing. When we start thinking about what this looks like, conflict is not about winning or losing. It's about honoring God, reflecting Christ as a peacemaker. Peacemakers walk in right away going, I'm going to make peace for God. I don't care about winning. If I didn't care about winning, well, first of all, people didn't care about winning. You know what? I wouldn't have a job. You know, think about preachers. What are we going to do in heaven? Preach? I don't think so. What am I going to do as a counselor? Counsel? No mental health problems there. Mediator? I have no job. Presenter? For what? I have no job. All ministers, counselors, therapists, conflict resolvers, we have no jobs. I thought, maybe I'll learn to play harmonica. Maybe I'll play guitar. Because I do got like forever. What am I going to do? In the end, we showed that when we learned all this about shalom, remember how long you've been learning about it? Yeah. Your first thought is, I'm going to rip this person back and forth, back and forth. Even the one smiling, you're smiling doing it. Our idea of conflict is going to shape the way we walk into it. It's to shape the way the conflict works. It's going to shape it. And so if you want to get convicted, just think about. Now, those two, they figured it out. Now, maybe they've done it before. Because she's an instructional designer, right? She's probably has some ideas of, wait a minute, I know this one, right? But a lot of people, even with all the amazing teaching from the Bible, we will still practice pulling the other person's arm socket out. It's always interesting when I first do it with my wife, you know, I'm like, no way, I'm not going to do this because I got to go home with her after. Like, no way. Most brothers are generally stronger than their wives. Well, my wife's a power lifter. Well, then you're going to get embarrassed in front of everybody. But either way, you're going to lose when you go home. You're going to lose. Maybe how could you embarrass me like that? It's going to go home, right? I'll see you in the parking lot. I mean, you know what I mean? Two brothers that were getting along, and then next thing you know, in front of their favorite sisters, they're trying to date. Next thing you know, they look like fools, right? In the end, it's not about power. It's about honoring God. And so that's what that idea of peacemaking comes from. We're there to peacemake. What do you think? Does that sound cool so far?
Yeah.
You remember this, won't you?
Yeah, very good.
Try in your Kingdom Kids class. You ought to be very careful with that. Some of the kids like pull some other kid across the room, right? Careful. High school students always hilarious. Yeah.
Well, the one thing about the rules was that we needed as many points as possible. Him getting more points and me getting more points didn't necessarily mean that it still met the criteria.
That's right.
The rules, so we're like, well, the best way for us to get points is to make sure we each get points. So
That's right. Right? I have another version of this. You're not allowed to communicate. You can't even talk. Then the person pulling, like, what are you doing, right? And then the person figures out, like, oh, nice. Right? I let you talk because I don't want to have too much fighting here, right? Can you imagine in conflict, you don't talk to other people outside to get perspective, and you can't see what other people are doing. Isn't that what a lot of people do? They don't know what they're doing, they don't communicate, and they wonder why they're just beating each other to death. The only person that wins is the hospital that you have to go to after. Band-Aid people, they're the only people that win. Just remember, where's that whole idea comes from? Our battle is not against flesh and blood. There's something else going on. Anybody heard of that ant analogy? Red ants and black ants lived in the same jar. They lived along nicely till someone shook the jar. Then the red ant said, hey, what are you black ants doing? And the red goes, what are you doing? And the ants fought and killed each other without ever realizing someone shook the jar. Nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them. It's in the Bible. People fought and fought and fought against each other, and they didn't realize what was happening. So, why don't we take a, yes?
I was going to say for me, like Michelle and I, it was cool because we kind of went back and forth slowly. However, if I had played that with my husband, because I know Michelle, but I don't have a relationship with her in that closeness, right? So, with my husband, I have a close relationship with him, so therefore, I think the game would have looked different.
How would it have looked differently?
I think it would have looked differently where we would have tried to like, who gets the most
Maybe.
points, you know? And so, because that's the way it translated in my mind, but with her, I think it was like, okay, we just...
Yeah, you want to play nice with her, yeah.
Yeah, we get him points, so we are not going to fight about this. At least that's all it's in my mind. We just get him points.
But can you imagine approaching everyone like that all the time? Approaching everyone with that mindset. But no, there are people...
We just get him points.
You're proving it right, because what's going on in your history of your relationship affects how you play this game.
Yes.
Right? Can you imagine purposely putting the two brothers that never gotten along together? Put them in, and you're like, oh boy. Right? Oh boy. Or you find the most challenging marriage. Play that game with them? That's why I say don't play with someone who's married to you, right? Because I don't know your history. Then they come, David, you know, why would you put that game? Now we just hate each other. I'm like, because I'll tell you, these things expose what's already going on. It doesn't create this. People say money corrupts. No, money reveals. Power reveals. It doesn't corrupt you. That's not how it works. Jesus had all in the world. He used it properly. When someone is wicked, whatever you give them, they will turn it dark. Conflict is like that. And so I would love for us to take a 10-minute break for us to be able to just stretch our legs, and we'll come back for a little bit of this, okay? Why grab a seat again? So, as we think about points, I always try to include this idea when we're teaching. There's a principle to show, right? And then there's a personal side of it. I share a little bit about myself, but also there's a practical side as well. So you always see these 3 P's being rotated, around. And of course, there's a passage of Bible that connects to it as well. So I always use these 4 P principles, just in case you get a little, you want to stay on track. There's a passage that illustrates a principle. There's some personal things I share inside, and as well as the idea of the practical that we can use. I mean, that's part of adult learning, as some of the instructional design people would know that. And so as we get into this section, there's this idea of the peacemaker. And I'll recommend the book later on, but Ken Sands, I don't know if anybody read his material. He does peacemaking quite a bit. I probably sold him quite a few books. I don't work for him in any way, shape, or form. And once again, these slides are based on some of his work. But this idea, blessed are the peacemakers, he kind of put it into a structure that's a lot easier to understand. And this is a simplistic view of it, right? But a lot of this is you're going to be able to do it at home. especially if you're at home, you can look at the slides and do your own study. Because these are my convictions as I've studied this over, honestly, I've been working on this stuff for about 12 years. So I'm trying to, be here for a Saturday in about 5 hours, throw some ideas at you that you've got to get convictions on yourself, right? And so once you get these convictions, it will fuel and inform what you do and the way you see the Bible, right? Because once you see the Bible, you're like, oh, it is about this. I see that now. Or when you finally see the golden thread of Jesus all the way through from Genesis all the Revelation, you're like, oh, so the Bible isn't just a bunch of facts. It points to this story and the narrative of this guy that's going to show up and save us, right? Well, the idea is that Jesus was the guy who was a peacemaker. Why? Why was he a peacemaker? Because he had to make peace between us and God, right? I want you to consider prayer as a place where it's not the way we think it is. So can you imagine someone killed your son or your daughter, and then you forgive them? That's one of the hardest things to do. Now, can you imagine doing this, though? I give you license and freedom to come to me to ask me for anything at any time. But every time I see you, I'm going to be reminded of the death of my son or daughter. Would you want that? There's a whole thing to forgive. Hey, man, I forgive you. I'm going to move on my new path. I'm running out of there. I'm going to run my new path as opposed to come hang out with me. That's a whole different thing. Think about prayer. You're reminded to pray in Jesus' name. What are you reminding God of? His son's death. That's the kind of God. That's peacemaking. To make peace. Not just the ew, Jesus didn't heal the leper like this. Ew, yeah, okay, heal, you're healed. Okay, wow, that stinks. He didn't do that. He embraced. And so when we think about a peacemaker, it's such a powerful concept. But I come from a place of ice, but not mountains. But this idea is that, can you imagine this triangle represents an icy mountain? If you've never been on ice, it's very slippery unless you've got, shoes with spikes on them. So can you imagine this small space at the top? The top of Mount Everest is the size of a dining room table. It's very small. People get up there, take their selfie, and a lot of people die on the way down, believe it or not. Whoops. like they go up and they think, oh, wait, we got to come back down now, right? It's dangerous. But that peacemaking space is so small. It's so hard to stand on. If you go to the left of that peacemaking space, you do what Ken Sands named peacemaker, even though it's in the Bible, this idea of peace faking. If you go a little to the right, you become a peace breaker. Oftentimes, we're all three, because we're complex beings. With some people, it's a lot easier to peacemake with. And there's other people it's easier to peace fake with, and some people it's easy to peace break with. We have all of them in us, as do the Bible characters. It's influenced by stress, emotions, background, history. It's influenced by all that. It's not just so simple. I can't get into all of that. But what I want you to be able to consider is there certain behaviors and certain Bible characters that often would choose one of these styles more than others. And you can see them, right? And when you see that, you'll be able to identify more than anything instead of doing oh yeah, this would be great for this brother. I wish he was here. No, just look at yourself first, all right? Who am I often? What pattern do I see? And so I can't go through all these because we'll be here for a long time. we're gonna run out of time. But peace-breaking behavior, I want you to pick one of these examples. One, okay? Cain. I think it's a pretty popular example of why he would be a peacebreaker. What was his act of peace-breaking? He killed his brother. That's kind of a big one. God brought him peace. Say, hey, if you do right, Cain, you'll be all right. He's like, nah, I'm not. You know what? I'm jealous of this guy that's showing me up. Let's kill him. That's not a good plan. Yeah. But we've acted out this story in every movie. You don't like somebody, nuke them. That's peace-breaking. Don't worry about them changing. It's always about that. King Saul, can you think of some peace-breaking moments for him? Yeah, trying to spear David. What's up with that, right? You know what I mean? Peace-breaking moments. You can see it. Absalom. Anybody know? These are more obscure examples. Anybody study the Bible? Absalom was what? Who was he? He was one of King David's sons. What did he do as a peacebreaker?
Kill his dad.
He tried to kill his dad. He actually conspired to kill his brother. Right? He had a justification, though. Yeah, well, Amnon raped Tamar, and I'm going to go gangster on this guy and kill him. He usurped the kingdom. What was that all about? Peter the Apostle, when did he peace break? Remember, what was that all about, right? There's other moments, and not just acts of violence, right? But Peter was known to be a guy that would shoot his mouth off and just go and get angry at people. He just would. You see this. Also, the Sons of Thunder, James and John, I mean, the names are, well, that sounds cool for a heavy metal band, but you don't want to be called the Sons of Thunder. Thunder just destroys and scares everybody, right? Now, who would John later become? Apostle of love. What was that all about? That's God's transformational side.
Yeah.
Jesus saw fit to use these people throughout the Bible to show you hundreds and hundreds of examples of peace breaking. And it's so easy to look at them because when we find ourselves in the Bible acting like them, then we found out we're behaving like the way they are. Here's some thoughts, and this is not an exhaustive list of peace-breaking behavior. Once again, it's not who you become only, but if you do this long enough, you will become that person. You know anybody that immediately they're going to lose it? They're hotheads, angry, upset. Whether the angry is loud or it's very quiet. You can have somebody very quietly angry. Oh yeah, it's okay, bro. You're like, oh man. When we do some negotiation things through the police and all these different things, they always tell us, be scared of the person when they stop yelling. Because the minute they stop yelling, they're going to do something. As long as they're yelling, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? As long as they're yelling, it's okay. There's different kinds of peace breaking. Quiet peace breaking, that's when they're going to shoot up the school. Like something's going to go wrong. So at the end of the day, instigates or escalates conflicts. They just can't calm it down. Harsh, hurtful words. Win. They want to win instead of resolve. They only see the world, the people I conquer and the people I can't conquer. Gossip, slander, that's peace-breaking behavior. It is. Also, grudges, revenge, division and strife, wherever they go. I go fishing quite a bit, and one of the nightmares of fishing in a boat is that sometimes you have these deadhead logs floating there. You don't see it. It's just floating underneath, right? You know, you don't see it. And if it hits your boat, well, you're in the front or the back, you fly out of the boat. It's not fun. You lose your equipment. And also during times, there's just no point because you get hypothermia and you die. It's just the way it is, right? So there's points I don't even wear a life jacket because drowning won't be my problem. I'm going to freeze to death. Unless I jump on shore next to a fire in an ICU unit, I won't be able to do that. And so what it is when you see people, you may not be able to identify right away there's a log, but you see the funny water pattern around it. You're in the front going, hey, what's that funky weirdness? Hey, whoa, turn around. So we slow down, right? Well, you see the division and strife all around. Like it didn't just happen by itself. Like something's wrong. And people do it quietly. And I'll tell you how destructive this is. How many times does the Bible list Satan showing himself to human beings? How many times does Satan show himself to human beings in the Bible? To humans. Once. To who? Jesus. Adam and Eve, did he show up as Satan? Hey, I'm Satan. He showed up as a snake, described as a snake. He only showed himself to Jesus. Anybody else? He entered Judas. He didn't go, hey, I'm Satan. Where's the welcome mat? He is God's greatest enemy. And he shows up no time to imagine, who are you? Like, are you kidding? He knew who he was. Why doesn't he show up? The biggest problem you have is when you don't realize you got a problem. Stealth. A lot of stealth planes, they don't even have weapons on them because you can't see them. They just come with, the only thing you know is like something blew up. Where'd that come from? The idea of stealth is so powerful for the greatest enemy of God. He doesn't show up like the movies. He doesn't do that. It's because people have a hard time believing that Satan exists. Why? Because he goes around peace breaking and all you see is this stuff all around. And you don't know what's happening. It's like seeing the funny water pattern and saying, there's no log there. Yes, there is. There's something. The only time you find out is when you're flying out of the boat knowing that it's over for you. Even understanding, they lack empathy and understanding. I don't mean every so often we choose peace-breaking behaviors, we do, right? We have those difficult moments, but if this is a pattern again and again and again, you actually become that behavior. That's who you are, right? And so when you think about peace-breaking, these are the people you might want to look at. Hundreds more of peace-breaking behavior, but over time, these men, besides Peter and the sons of thunder, these top 3 men, they ended up dying as peacebreakers. That's the thing. It was their destiny. That's who they became, right? Now, Peter could change, of course. John and James changed, of course. You think about the Jesus opportunities. He put Matthew and Simon the Zealot in the same camp. Simon the Zealot's mission was to kill publicans or tax collectors. Why would Jesus put them in the same camp? Because I'll tell you, imagine Simon thinking, oh boy, I'm going to get you, Matthew. And Matthew's like, hey, hold on. Why are we together? Because only Jesus can smooth that out, only if they're willing. But of course, he had a peacebreaker in his midst too, Judas. So if Jesus can have one of those, in churches, there's many of them, and the whole thing is Jesus, if we take it seriously, we'll notice these behaviors in ourselves, and we'll choose to be peacemakers instead of peace breakers. And here's the peace fakers. False prophets. Peace, and there's no peace. Everything's good in the hood. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. King Herod. I'm going to wash my hands of these things. He's not innocent. What else? Pilate. All these different people. King Herod was a peace faker in what way? When his wife asked, well, not his wife, whatever, he wanted to please her, and he cut a guy's head off. Like, what was that all about? That's quite people-pleasing. Pilate, he thought he could wash his hands and he'd be clear of Jesus? Not at all. What else? Even Judas. You know how scary Judas was as a peace faker? Jesus made it so boxcar letter clear. The one who dipped his hand in the bowl with me. Imagine the guy go, huh? What are you talking about? They had been with him for 3 years. Can you imagine Judas having the same powers as all the other apostles? Can you imagine them raising the dead, healing the sick, curing the lepers, and doing all that, and he's the only one that couldn't do it? Like, it's not working for me. They were like, hey, could it be you? He hid among these apostles. No one could even know. You would think that living with someone for 3 years, you'd notice, that guy is always funky smelling. There's something up with this guy. He did such a good job hiding. The only person that knew was Jesus. And he said right away, near the beginning, but one of you is a devil. Why does he use that name? Because he hides just like him. Peace faking is no better than peace breaking. But oftentimes we're impacted more by peace breakers because they're scarier. They come up. Peace fakers smile. They'll poison your food. Peace breaking and peace faking, if it is not peacemaking, it's not going to be right. Avoids conflict at all costs. The cost of righteousness, the cost of unity. Pretends everything fine when it's not. Have you ever told somebody when they came up to you, hey sister, how's it going? Oh, just fine. You're like, meanwhile, you're seething inside. You're holding that communion cup going, oh boy, am I drinking destruction upon myself? What else? Ignores issues rather than addressing them. Cowards fall into peace-faking behavior. Quietness does not equal righteousness.
All right. Amen, bro.
When we talk about silence, what does that do? Silence allows the evil to do what they're doing, right? What else? Seek superficial harmony. No, hey, it's all good. It's all good. Everything's just fine. We're the greatest. This is all fine. Meanwhile, we're hiding. Fears any type of confrontation, but the confrontation is from behind and around. What else? Often passive-aggressive. Man, you slammed the door. No, man, because I don't know my own strength. Meanwhile, they're just mad. You can see it. Compromise the truth to avoid conflict at all. That's peace-faking behavior. When we think about peace-faking behavior, there are more church people guilty of that than peace-breaking. Because peace-breaking, you get kicked out after a while real quick. The sister that lost it in the crowd, okay, Titus 3:10, goodbye. Peace-faking, how much is going on? And we only find out in the garden who betrayed who.
Yeah.
It rattled the apostles. See, what's that guy doing here? How did he do that? I'll tell you, peace-faking behavior is so destructive in churches that Jesus calls it very specifically something that when people hide and they're cowered out, and I'll tell you, the only behavior that we can really lean into is peacemaking. That's what it is. We're called to be peacemakers. That's a very convicting thing to study it out. You think about Jesus, I put a star beside him. Why? Because he's the ultimate. He never peace broke. He never peace faked. Even when he challenged people at the temple, it wasn't peace breaking. He did the righteous thing. Peacemaking doesn't mean you're not assertive. It means you do it for the name of God and you do it the right way. What else? You think of King David. There were times when he was a peacemaker. People were insulting him. He just could have destroyed them, but he didn't do it. He held back. You think about how he treated, Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth. It's not goes on a mug very much, right? But it was this broken, crippled son, the son of Jonathan, and he helped him out, and he brought him to the king's table. Why would he bring an enemy's son to do that? Also, think of Joseph. This is something to think of with Joseph, okay? And a lot of people don't think of it this way, but you look at it from a lens of a therapist. Joseph, what was his story? What happened to him in his family of origin? He was sold by his brothers. Anybody who's a therapist in here? That causes family of origin issues, don't you think? A little bit, right? You get sold. Their first thought was, let's kill him.
Right.
Their second thought is, no, I think that's too harsh. Let's sell him into slavery. That's better. If he would have just drowned, it would have been over. They sold him into slavery. What did it describe Joseph as when they talked about him being a handsome man? Consider that. Can you imagine being a young boy sold into slavery in that area of the world? I want you to consider what would happen to him. Maybe it didn't happen anywhere else in the world. It happened everywhere else. When kids and women are used in that sexual way, like it was never for him though, ever. Are you kidding? You got to be kidding. Even Potiphar's wife came and attacked him. What do you think happened when he was a young boy being sold? Do you think that causes a nightmare for this guy?
Yeah.
So I would say there's all kinds of abuse. You're probably like, no, David. It doesn't say. The Jews don't write stuff like that. It was just an understanding. Sexual violence. I wonder if it happened to Joseph. It would be very strange for it not to happen to a boy that was a good-looking boy back in that part of the world in the ancient Near East. It would be very strange. But from a therapy lens, that guy's a mess. Now, can you imagine rising to the second in command of Egypt? And 11 clowns show up. Your brothers, your perpetrators, begging for food. And he's like, dude, that's so awesome. I got these guys. I got them. Did he deal with them righteously?
Yeah.
Kinda. Remember the whole cup thing that he did? What was that all about? He had got them going back and forth 2 or 3 times, running back with a cup. Like, what was that all about? That's him processing, should I shellac these guys or not? Like, I'm telling you, that wasn't righteous. Can you imagine taking someone's wallet and just watching them look for it, and meanwhile you got it? That wouldn't be very fun, trust me. That song, What a Fellowship, would have a whole different meaning. Dave Alton, bro, I know you've been looking for like 2 days, bro. Listen, I had it the whole time. I don't think he'd be finding that funny. Can you imagine having to travel back to Egypt for going back and forth? Because you had it the whole time. Oh, man. What was that about? He kept going to the back room to process. He had every opportunity to skin these guys alive, all of them. And tell me, who would convict him for doing that? Very few. But yet, what did he do? He chose to bless them. Do you know how scared they were? When their father died, what did they come up and say? They lied to him again. Hey, Dad said, hey, yo, I know Dad's dead, but listen, he said, don't touch us. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna hurt you guys. Because he was afraid. They were afraid. You know why? Because they know the magnitude of what they've done to him. Yeah. It's unforgivable. He had a lifetime of trauma, and yet what could he do? Sometimes people have gone through all kinds of sexual, emotional trauma, and we don't think we can find people who have gone through it. Yes, you do. He's in there. If you do any studying at all, you realize he would be the freak of nature if that never happened to him in that whole area of the world. There's no way. Every story of all the captivities of people, this type of violence happened all the time, but he would be totally immune, right? Like that makes no sense at all. Yeah. And so this is not popular theology, but I'll tell you, you can't sanitize the cross with no blood and just a little bit squirting out. It's ugly, it's nasty, it's meant to be this way. That's how you know peacemaking was so hard for these men. Moses, look at the trauma that's happened to his life. Floated down the river. raised up. Like, oh my goodness, all these things have happened. Talk about, we call them FOO issues, F-O-O, family of origin issues. Oh my goodness, that got to be a therapy nightmare. He continued to battle with some of the inner demons to the point he even lost his place in the promised land. That's how bad it was. And yet there's times that he chose to make peace to the point where, you know what, God, if you're going to bless us but not be with us, we'd rather not have the blessing. Also, he was only 2 guys in the Bible that recorded that, hey, can you take me out of the book of life for the sake of my people? The other guy was Paul that said that. How many people would do that? I mean, I know y'all love each other here, but how many would say, you know what? I want to die for everyone in the church. Everyone? Everyone. Like everybody. I don't think so. You know, maybe 14%, you know what I mean? Like, I would do that. Moses said, I want to die for all these people, all of them. John the Apostle, start thinking what that looks like. Who was he before? Yes. When you think about Barnabas, he made peace when nobody else would trust Paul. You can understand that he was the murderer of Christians, and he shows up, hey, guess what? I switched teams, guys. Like, but hold on, no. They didn't get the email or the internet. Like, they didn't get any of that, right? And they just didn't realize it. Barnabas came and stuck his neck out for Paul. And everybody's like, okay, Barnabas, the encourager, is saying that he's okay. You better be sure, Barnabas, because, man, if he gets us all coming to the woodwork, I mean, even the apostles were afraid of him. Barnabas was the one. You think about Paul the apostle. How many times did people try to kill him? He was stoned and he went back in to preach to the same people that tried to kill him. Another peacemaker, someone that we don't mention a lot, is even Stephen. When he died, he didn't focus on the people throwing stones. He focused on Jesus. Because the minute you focus on the stone throwers, you can't forgive them. It's very hard. When I start looking at this, peacemaking behavior, they actively seek to resolve conflict in a healthy way. They're trying their best. As far as it depends on them. We'll talk about that later on, about what this means. Promotes reconciliation. Understand that they promote it, not just tolerate it. Once again, you can get all these slides. Actively listening, finding out what is it the person needs. Also, speaking the truth in love. It's not just some soft thing that we do as peacemakers. They forgive and encourage forgiving. And when you start thinking about what this genuine peace and harmony look like, because when it's not genuine, it falls apart very quickly, especially when something gets tested. Last but not least, they not only do it for themselves, but they're a source of building bridges all across. Wherever they go, there's this powerful peace. Wherever Jesus went, peacemaking was happening everywhere. But here's the thing, as you study this out, when I try to find myself in here, we are very, very complex beings, and we have all 3 behaviors. You know what we're trying to do? Just do more of the standing on the ice mountain and not fall off. I tend to, in my own sinful nature, to be a peace breaker. That's what my tendency is. Most times, 8 out of 10 times, I would choose to peace break. I will. And I got to know that about myself. I do. Peace faking, not so much. If you probably get me by now, I'm not going to mince words. I'm going to shoot it straight. Like, I don't do that. I'm not going to poison your food. I will punch you in the face. Like that's who I am. I remember. I don't care. And it depends on that. I remember during COVID, and I'll share a story with you. I was in Costco, and it was the beginning of COVID. Nobody even knew what it was. Is it a, who knows what it was. We weren't masking. We were masking, whatever it was. And I don't know if you know, I some of the sharp ones among you, I'm Asian. I'm Chinese, right? And so people are running around saying it's Kung flu, China flu, and at the same time they're saying it doesn't exist. I go, well, how can it be from China if it doesn't exist? Like, super confusing. It's the same thing in Canada, right? So I'm going around, Costco, big stuff happening. People are trying to load up, toilet paper and all that. I didn't fall for that nonsense, right? I only got a few extra rolls. You never know, right? So I remember going around the corner, and there was this older woman there, and she turned the corner, and I didn't see her because, Costco is like, it's a mini traffic jam there. I turned around and she was scared because she saw me, and then she said something racist to me. What I did was I pulled and I drew upon my Christianity. Oh, I just thought, oh, wow, this poor woman, she must be so impacted. I don't even know what's happening with her family. Man, I must have scared her. No, I didn't do that at all. Nope, didn't do that at all. Let me tell you what I did. I found deep within inside my lung the biggest cough I could find. I didn't even have COVID till 3 years later. I traveled all around the world. I didn't catch it till a couple of cities. Like, I was only 3 hours out. I caught it in Manitoba. It makes no sense, right? So I just went, bleh. I coughed like, man. I coughed right at her. Right at her, man. Right at her. I never seen someone that old run that fast. She just went. She just went. Left her cart and everything. Needed some items. I helped myself. I'm just kidding. She ran. And this is what I did. And I go, oh my gosh, that's how evil people laugh. You know what? It didn't take long for the Holy Spirit saying, dude, what are you doing? In my mind, I was like, well, I had to cough. Like, I didn't. Not from that deep, man. Not from that deep. I was looking. That's peacemaking. Yeah. Because what you gonna do? Call a security guard? Oh yeah, this guy. I go, can you tell him what you said? Because let me hear. I'm gonna film you. You want to be famous today? Let me tell you, I was all ready for her. But here's the thing. My nightmare is I do workshops for thousands of people a year. One day. Can you imagine? Yeah, so much. Can you imagine? I felt so bad. No one's going to go find her, chase her down to see if I can apologize. I probably wouldn't work super well. To this day, I remember that. I did not okay, it's okay. You can say racist things. I totally get it. No. My immediate response was, and I thought about, would I have done something differently? Not with the current condition I was in. I was already nervous. I was already angry. I was already feeling some stuff. I was always stressed out. It explains it. Doesn't excuse it. Yeah. Do you ever have a moment where you just coughed on somebody, but you didn't cough, you did something? I call it losing your cookies. Remember Sesame Street? That blue cookie monster? You took his cookies. You freaking, that's what I did. I lost my cookies on her. I felt terrible. Even to this day, I feel bad about it. But there's moments I'm like, yeah, though, most people I tell, like, yeah, well, bro, come on, right? Blah, blah, blah. I get what they're saying. They're trying to sympathize with me. Maybe they're trying to excuse it for themselves. There's a couple people. Everybody would have done that. I know everybody would have done that. But not the people who want to be peacemakers. Not those people. You might think, no, bro, but it's so hard sometimes. Let me tell you, when you start studying the Bible a little more, everything Jesus asked these Jews to do was directly opposed to the very culture. Carry the person's pack an extra mile. Who is that referring to? What is Jesus asking the Jews to do? Carry the bag extra. Who are these talking about? The Romans can show up and say, hey, you, Jew, come over here, carry my bag extra. Oh, okay. Like, sure, I'll do that. Give cloaks. All these political things. Does that apply here? Anybody with a different? Yeah. Carry their bag. You're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to stand up for my rights. I'm not saying you never stand up, but Jesus more often freaked these people out by saying, are you insane to love your enemy? Are you insane to carry their pack? Yeah, if you want to be a peacemaker. Peacemaking is, I'll make sure I drop their pack in such a way to crush their eggs. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Peacemaking is, I'm going to attack them. I'll find out where they live. But at the end of the day, peacemakers, you will understand why you're doing this. If you want more information on this, I would encourage you to find this book, Resolving Everyday Conflict. Not every day we're going to get into massive racial conversations, gender role conversations. We're not going to get every day about, the LGBTQ2SIA community. We're not going to get every day. But everyday things like this, Costco incidences, they happen all the time. It could happen here. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. It's so easy to lose it. Yesterday, man, I tell you, God was calling me out all day long. All day long. And I'll tell you, I got up at 5 a.m. to get for a plane flight. Yeah, I didn't take off till 2:30. 7 hours later. We got on a plane, we sat on the tarmac for a whole hour. Then they figured out one of the circuits wasn't working on the plane. I'm like, how can you not know that? Why are we sitting there for an hour? Right? Everybody had to pee. It was just unbelievable, right? It only takes 2 hours to get there, so we could have hitchhiked. It would have been closer. Then we came back, and we got off and got on a new plane. I got rerouted. So I was supposed to go to Ottawa, then to Dulles. Now I'm moving to Toronto. The lovely lady, assured me that if I checked my bag, I know, if I checked my bag, that I would get it right there. She goes, it's being offloaded as we speak. I'm like, I'm an elite status member. You know I fly a lot, right? I know when someone's lying to me. I'm like, But she was so nice because they asked me, can you please check your bag? It could be full. I'm like, I don't have to do that. I'm such high status, they're going to carry my own bag. It just means I fly way too much, okay? That's what it means. I'm not awesome. I just fly too much, okay? At the end of the day, I gave them my bag, and maybe the Holy Spirit said, don't do it. So they sent my bag to Ottawa while I flew to Toronto. And yesterday, Angel and Kristen picked me up, and we're running around. I was, yeah, what's happening? He's like, oh, I'll tell you what's happening. I got no clothes. I got no power charge. I got nothing. I had to brush my teeth with one of them hotel toothbrushes. Like, I just did that. I sat there and said, Lord, what is happening? I wanted to lose it so bad, because I hate not having, it's fun to wear your underwear three days in a row. That's what I want, right? You know what I mean? Like, come on, right? Tomorrow, I'm going to wear the same clothes. Wow, nice outfit, bro. It's the same one you had on Friday. I go, yeah, there's a reason for that, right? That's it. They want to get it to me in 2 days. I was like, hold on. I was like, 2 days, huh? Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks so much. I'm going to be home in 2 days. It doesn't matter in 2 days. They're like, oh, well, we'll give you a voucher. For what, $20? Like, thanks a lot. In the end, I calmly said, what a hypocrite I would be to lose my mind on them. And I'm like, thank you, God. Thanks for the test, right? I'm not over. It's not over yet. Not over yet, because they're going to keep telling me, I can see where it is on my air tag. There it is. It's right there in Ottawa. Like, why? Like, I don't understand why. But that's everyday conflict. If I couldn't do it then, it'd be so wrong to teach this. So maybe I just need to do more workshops then. But this is my first time flying to the States in a year and a half, and this is the one of the fun experience, right? People are like, oh, can you just buy some clothes from Target? I don't have normal proportions. I'm quite short at times, so everything's just made for me, right? So if I want my pants to be 4 feet longer than they're supposed to be, so that's it. I told my wife's like, oh my gosh, you're going to talk about everyday conflict? Oh, yeah, I wanted to kill a couple of people yesterday. That's what I wanted. I did. I felt it, right? I did. I never did it. Doesn't mean it's still not lingering. I'm lying in bed at night going, this is not fun for me.
Thank you for coming.
No, I'm here. I didn't want to make it about a big deal. I'm no hero for that. Oh yeah, whoopee, I lost my luggage. There's people, I'm thinking, in other parts of the world, I would think, that's a major first world problem, loser. Like, why don't you just calm down? When we don't get the heart of conflict right, the heart of it right, these little things will just expose who we are. And you know what? I'm not having a fun time with this. I'm not. I really am not. I'm a little bit controlling and so, where's my stuff? Like, I want my stuff. And it's not even that big of a stuff. It's just because it's mine. And also, when you lie to me, you tell me that it's being moved off the plane. Obviously, it's just not true. I'm going to find you, and just give you a big hug, right? So, here's another book, Peacemaking for Families by the same guy. Just in case there's peacemaking in families, just in case you have conflict with your families. Probably doesn't apply here, but it's just a book I'd like to recommend, okay? But there's principles that he lays out that's very, very clear. I can't discuss all of it. So this is what I'd like for you to do before we break for lunch. Journal 1 or 2 conflicts from your life. They don't have to be big time conflicts, but these little ones, these little fires, if you don't deal with them right, you're never going to get a chance to deal with a big fire. No way. Identify peace-breaking, peace-faking, and peacemaking behaviors. It's not all bad. You wouldn't be able to be alive if you always peace break. When you peace break, sooner or later, you're going to bump into somebody that's going to peace break harder than you. Right. Or for every bully, you're going to, every tough guy has 15 other tough guys somewhere. Peace-faking behavior is the number one thing in church that we find. Because we Christianize and sanitize everything. Everything's cool until it's not. You got to pray to God. If you're going to just power your way through this, you might as well be part of, worldly coaching that has no spirit. When I'm a counselor and I work with people in the world, I can't bring God in. I just can't. And for them, most of the strategies I can't use, right? It's like, just do kind of what you do, whatever. Strategies like a wife, non-Christian, would let her husband sleep with one woman a month as long as she's clean and as long as no one finds out, then that's okay. And I was like, well, okay, cool strategy. I can't do anything about it. In the Bible, it's like, are you nuts? What are you talking about, right? Well, I'll tell you, You got to use God in this, or it won't last for long. It just doesn't. Even Christian counselors can get confused that without the center of God, there's no right or wrong. Everybody's got their own right. Everyone's got their own wrong. How's that working for everybody? You see the news? Let me tell you, there's no right or wrong till you steal my wallet. All of a sudden, it's all wrong. No, bro, it's all relative. You better give me my wallet back. Find my bag. Like, I don't care. In the end, you got to get support from trusted people. Remember that exercise we did? You couldn't see each other? Resolving conflict? You couldn't talk? That's what it feels like. We're sometimes even in the middle of conflict right now with your family, shh, don't tell the church. We got this covered, right? You got a conflict with yourself. It's your pride, right? So as we start thinking about what it looks like to stay faithful forever, right, part of that involves Christians being enough aware to realize that I don't know everything, and to be able to take feedback and discipling and guidance, and then praying to God like crazy to have that soft heart. Because I'm in my 34th year as a disciple, November 16th, 34 years. It's frightened me because I don't think I'm going to die tomorrow. I got still some runway to go. Do you know a lot of the people began very well? It's the ending that mattered, right? Anybody been around 30 years? You realize it seemed like a blink of an eye. But I'll tell you, Satan's got a long plan. And a lot of this stuff, the conflict you don't deal well, most people walk away from churches. Nothing to do with structure, the snacks, or things like that. It's because they have a friction with somebody and they just can't deal with it and they walk away. They walk away. I don't mean like walk away from like God. They walk away from everybody. So at the end of the day, I'd love for you to consider doing some of this homework, or maybe even considering some of this during lunchtime. Okay?